At the same time, we really have our eyes on Rafah, the threatened ground invasion there. It seems like there are some indications this may be more imminent, including multiple strikes there. Let's put this up on the screen that happened just a day or so ago. Israeli strikes on southern Gaza city of Rafah killed 22, mostly children, as they add U.S. advances aid package. I think that's noteworthy that they include that in the headline, and important they include that in the headline. So out of these 22 people who were killed by the IDF in Rafah, 18 children, 3 women, 1 man. 18 children, 3 women, and 1 man. One of the women who was killed was pregnant. She was killed. They were able to open her up and save the baby, thank God, who's now, orphaned at birth. Horrifying situation, and Bibi has been sort of promising that this Rafah invasion is imminent. He said cryptically, quote, "In the coming days, we will increase the political and military pressure on Hamas because this is the only way to bring back our hostages and achieve victory." Of course, the only way they've actually brought back hostages was through a ceasefire agreement, but never you mind that. He goes on to say, "We will land more and painful blows on Hamas soon," but did not give further details about what that meant. And that's noteworthy, of course, Saagar, because he's been saying, oh, in order to finish the job with Hamas, they're all down in Rafah now, so we have to do this ground invasion of Rafah, where you have over 1 million Palestinians sheltering right now, including obviously many women and children, because that's where Hamas is. So when he says we will land more and painful blows on Hamas soon, it seems to be a reference to an imminent ground invasion in Rafah.
It's very possible, and something that you brought up, but I want to spend a lot of time on here, is this corrupt bargain being reported by the Israeli press. Let's go ahead and put this up there on the screen, please, where the Times of Israel reports very out in the open that the U.S. has agreed to Israel's plan for Rafah in return for not carrying out a large Iran strike. So what they basically have bargained with us is, hey, we won't have a huge retaliatory strike on Iran, which would draw you in, if you greenlight, at least tacitly, our Israeli invasion of Rafah. Now, the way that we know this is from Egyptian officials who are telling news outlets that, quote, the U.S. has accepted that plan for an operation in southern Gaza in return for not carrying out that larger strike. Now, the reason why this is so important is we are watching the weaponization here, again, of the U.S. political system and its rapid desire to go to war for Israel, where they are like, hey, we won't drag us into a broader war over here if you let us do whatever we want over here. And I don't think that these airstrikes are an accident. And it actually very elegantly solves a problem for Bibi to be able to get around that. But think again about what the blackmail is that what they have on their side is always, at any moment, at any time of our choosing, we can blow up an embassy wherever we want and ratchet things up over here, which will require you to defend us, as long as we continue to get to do whatever we want over here in Gaza. And that belies the fact that whatever happens here in Gaza has bleed-on effects over here, as we have already watched the resumption of Iranian proxy strikes on U.S. military bases that have happened now after that. So again, American troops are the ones who pay the cost, as well as, of course, Palestinian civilians.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, this was Palestinian civilians being held hostage and being sacrificed in the end to reportedly keep Israel from doing a larger strike on Iran. And again, according to reports, the Biden people begged Bibi not to do any response to Iran. They were saying, listen, take the win. We shut down all their stuff. Nothing really happened with regard to their retaliatory attacks here. So just take that win and let's move on. So they weren't able to succeed with that. They're obviously not willing to use actual leverage to change Israeli behavior. So, according to this report, they've decided to sacrifice the Palestinians in Rafah, in spite of the fact that this has been a long time, Biden even used at one point the word red line with regard to Rafah, but doesn't seem to be a red line any longer. And I don't think any of us should be surprised if we see this attack move forward relatively swiftly. Just to give you another sense of how untenable the U.S. position here is, and all of the Biden administration's supposed concerns for human rights. Pretty remarkable exchange here where a State Department spokesperson really doesn't want to answer a question about whether the Geneva Conventions apply to Israel. does his darndest to try to avoid giving a direct answer to what should be a very simple question that he was asked. Let's take a listen to this.
Euromed Monitor, Human Rights Monitor, reports that Israel is using drones to lure residents and then shoot them. They explain the sounds of women screaming and babies crying were heard late at night on both Sunday and Monday. When some of the residents went out to investigate and tried to help, they were shot at by Israeli quadcopter drones. The sounds they heard were, in fact, recordings played by the Israeli drones with the intent of forcing the camp residents out into the streets where they could be easily targeted by snipers and other weaponry.
I've not seen that report, Sam, so I'm not going to comment on it. But broadly, not relating to this particular circumstance at all, because again, I haven't seen the report and I'm not sure if it's accurate or verifiable. At every conversation that we have with our partners in Israel, we continue to stress the moral and strategic imperative that they have to work on deconfliction mechanisms and to ensure that civilian harm is minimized in every which way possible. And we'll continue to stress that every way we can.
Will you look at this report?
I am sure we'll look at this report, Sam. I don't have any comment on it right now.
Do you recognize the Geneva Conventions as applying?
I've answered your question, Sam.
No, you haven't. You've evaded it, and your colleague deceitfully responded to it. Do you recognize the Geneva Conventions? It's a simple question.
Go ahead.
Do you recognize the Geneva Conventions as applying to Gaza?
When you interrupt me, it's not a matter of
you. I'm
not going to
take
additional questions.
Answer to a simple question.
Go ahead. You got two questions.
No, I didn't get two questions.
You did. You asked a question about your report and you asked a follow-up. Please go ahead.
You're refusing to answer it.
Go ahead, sir.
Do the Geneva Conventions apply to Gaza or not? Apply to everywhere on the planet except for the Palestinians. Isn't that right?
We continue to stress everywhere that international humanitarian law needs to be abided by and respected. Go ahead.
Do the Geneva Conventions apply?
You are now interrupting your colleague. Go ahead.
I'm interrupting you. I'm not interrupting you. I'm insisting on an answer to a critical question.
Go ahead.
Doesn't want to answer the question. It's very, very testy there in reply. And also with regard to the original report, which is disgusting if you think about it, like playing sounds of crying babies. And then when people rush out to try to help this, what they think is a struggling child or infant, then, using that to lure them out and kill them is that's horrifying. Last thing we wanted to share with you is some of the tenor of the discourse in our great Israeli allies, the way that their assault on Gaza is being discussed. I don't know if you guys saw this. There was a picture of Palestinians on the beach in Gaza that created this whole freak out on the Israeli right. There was a discussion about this on Israeli television and quite a reaction to it. Let's take a look at this and I'll read over the subtitles here since this is in Hebrew. Go ahead and put it up on the screen. They say, these people there deserve death, a hard death, an agonizing death, and instead we see them enjoying on the beach, having fun. He goes on, these people, there are no innocent people there in the Gaza Strip, none. They voted for Hamas. They want Hamas. They celebrated. They handed out candies. Some of them spat at the body. Some of them took selfies with our abductees. There are no innocents there. And the fact they're now enjoying the beach instead of starving, instead of being jerked around, instead of being severely tormented, instead of hiding from shelling, they are enjoying the beach. We should have seen a lot more revenge, a lot more rivers of Gazans' blood. That is the commentary on Israeli television.
Right.
But please, let's talk more about a student protester, what a 19-year-old might have or might not have said at a college protest.
Yeah.
Hey guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber, and help us build the best independent media organization on the planet.
That's right. We're subscriber funded. We're building something new. We want to replace these failing mainstream media organizations.
So again, to subscribe, it's breakingpoints.com.